Hello everyone. I have another story here for you. It is an oldie but a goodie. It's brilliant. It's all about the tiger who came to tea. Can you imagine if a tiger came to your house for tea? What would he do? Would you let him in? What would you give him? What would you feed him? Let's find out what this little girl did when a tiger came to her house for tea. Her name is Sophie. Let's find out. Once there was a little girl called Sophie, and she was having tea with her mummy in the kitchen. Suddenly there was a ring at the door. Sophie's mummy said, "I wonder who that can be. It can't be the milkman, because he came this morning. And it can't be the boy from the grocer, because this isn't the day he comes. And it can't be Daddy, because he's got his keys. We'd better open the door and see." Sophie opened the door, and there was a big, furry, stripy tiger. The tiger said, "Excuse me, but I'm very hungry. Do you think I could have tea with you?" Sophie's mummy said, "Of course, come in." So the tiger came into the kitchen and sat down at the table. It's a very well-mannered tiger, this, isn't it, boys and girls? Sophie's mummy said, "Would you like a sandwich?" But the tiger didn't take just one sandwich. He took all the sandwiches on the plate and swallowed them in one big mouthful. Ow! And he still looked hungry. So Sophie passed him the buns. Eating sandwiches? A tiger eating sandwiches? Have you ever heard such a thing, boys and girls? But again, the tiger didn't eat just one bun. He ate all the buns on the dish. And then he ate all the biscuits and all the cake until there was nothing left to eat on the table. It's very greedy, this tiger, isn't he, boys and girls? So Sophie's mummy said, "Would you like a drink?" And the tiger drank all of the milk in the milk jug and all of the tea in the teapot. Wow. Tiger drinking tea and milk. Have you ever heard of such a thing, boys and girls? A tiger drinking tea and milk. How strange. And then he looked around the kitchen to see what else he could find. What else is he going to find, do you think? What might he find in your kitchen that he might like to eat? He ate all the supper that was cooking in the saucepans. Oh. And all of the food in the fridge. Oh. And all of the packets and tins in the cupboard. Oh. And he drank all of the milk, and all of the orange juice, and all of Daddy's beer, and all of the water in the tap. Boys and girls, if a tiger came to my house and drank all of my beer, I would be very, very upset. Let me tell you. Then he said, "Thank you for my nice tea. I think I'd better go now." And he went. How odd. Sophie's mummy said, "I don't know what to do. I've got nothing for Daddy's supper. The tiger has eaten it all." Greedy tiger, boys and girls, isn't it? A very greedy tiger. And Sophie found she couldn't have her bath because the tiger had drunk all the water in the tap. Terrible. Imagine that. You wouldn't be able to have a bath because a tiger drank all the water. Just then, Sophie's daddy came home. So Sophie and her mummy told him what had happened, and how the tiger had eaten all the food and drunk all the drink. And Sophie's daddy said, I know what we'll do. I've got a very good idea. We'll put on our coats and go to a cafe. That sounds like fun, doesn't it, boys and girls? If you went to a cafe, what would you eat? What would you drink? What would you do at a cafe? So they went out into the dark, and all of the street lamps were lit, and all of the cars had their lights on, and they walked down the road to a cafe. This sounds exciting, doesn't it? A little trip out somewhere. Be nice to go on a little trip somewhere. Oh, here they are. And they had a lovely supper with sausages and chips and ice cream. Wow, that sounds good, doesn't it? Sausages and chips and ice cream. Maybe not all at the same time. You wouldn't want a lump of ice cream on top of your sausages and chips. Maybe afterwards. But it does sound like a lovely dinner, doesn't it? In the morning, Sophie and her mummy went shopping, and they bought lots more things to eat. And they also bought a very big tin of tiger food, in case the tiger should come to tea again. Have you ever seen a tin of tiger food in the supermarket? I can't remember ever seeing that. Maybe the next time you're at the supermarket with your grown-up, maybe you could see if you could find a tin of tiger food. Have a little look. Let me know. But the tiger, he never came back. He never did. So I thought that the tiger who came to tea would be a really good opportunity to look at alliteration within phonics phase 1, because it is alliteration is aspect 5 of phonics stage 1. So in that title, the tiger who came to tea, we've got that repeated t sound. Recognizing the initial sound in a word is really, really important. So I've got a game here that we can play to listen out for the initial sounds in words. It's focusing on a small number of words at a time. I hope you enjoy it. Right, so we're going to play a game called Silly Soup. Once again, I've got a picture here of a bowl, and I've got some picture cards here that I'm going to use. Again, you don't have to use a picture of a bowl. You don't have to use pictures of things. You can use actual things that you find in your house. You can use an actual bowl to put things in. So feel free to adapt this game as you will. So we're looking at initial sounds. Initial sounds are the first sounds in a word. So for our silly soup, I was thinking of that tiger who came to tea and all of the different food that he ate and all the different things that he ate in the house. I thought we could make him some silly soup. So I want to think about words that begin with a j sound. Everyone say j, 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 j. So we're going to think of words that begin with a j sound to begin our silly soup game. So I've got some things here. What's going to go in the silly soup and what is not going to go in the silly soup? Okay, so what have we got here? We have got some jelly, some jam, a jack-in-the-box, a dog, a fan, and a hat. So which of these things is going to go into our j silly soup? Now let's have a look. Jelly. Does jelly begin with a j sound? Jelly. J-elly. I think it does. I think that can go in our silly soup. Brilliant. Now what about dog? Dog. D-og. Dog. Is that going to go in our j silly soup? Dog. D-og. I don't think so. No dogs in our silly soup, so we'll put him over there. Over here I have some jam. J-am. Jam. J-am. Is that going to go in our j silly soup? Jam. I think so. We can put that in there. So we've got some jelly and some jam. Oh, what about this? Fan.
fan. Is that going to go in our J silly soup? F and fan. No, no fan in our silly soup. Begins with a f sound. So over there, not in the soup. Over here, we have a Jack in the Box. Jack in the Box. J-ack. Jack in the Box. I think we can put him into our silly soup. So we've got some jelly, some jam, and a Jack in the Box all in our silly soup that we're going to make for our tiger in case he comes back for tea. Now, what about this? We have a hat. Hat. Does that begin with a J sound? Can it go into our silly soup? I don't think so. I think it begins with a sound. Hat. So I think that's going to go over there. So let's see what's in our J silly soup. We have a Jack in the Box, jelly, and jam. Okay, so that was pretty good. Let's try that again, this time with a different sound. Let's try a t, 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 t sound. So we'll put that there and we'll see what we've got. What can you see there? What sound does that begin with? What can you see here? What sound does that begin with? And what do we have here? What sound does that begin with? What have we got here? What sound does that begin with? And what do we have here? What sound does that begin with? Okay, let's put that there. And let's think what's going to go in our silly soup with a t sound. T, t, t. In case our tiger comes back for some tea and we need to feed him. So what are we going to put in our soup this time? All right, in our picture here we have a turtle. Turtle. Does it begin with a t? Yes, it does. Let's stick it in our soup. There we go. Over here we have a fox. Does that begin with a t sound? No, it doesn't. So we're going to stick him over there. Keep him out of the soup. What's this? You go camping in one if you're staying away from home. It's a tent. Does that begin with a t sound? Tent. I think it does. So into the soup with it. We've got a turtle and we've got a tent in our soup. And what do we have here? Oh, if it's very dark and you want to see something, you might need a torch. Torch. Does that begin with a t sound? Yes, it does. Into the soup with it. And last one, we have a bat. Bat. Does that begin with a t sound? Bat. No, it doesn't. It begins with a b sound. So we keep that out of the soup. So in our t silly soup, we have tent, turtle, torch. Fantastic. Now, another great activity for practicing the listening skills that you need for hearing those initial sounds is I Spy. Now, grown-ups, we've all played I Spy. We're all familiar with the concept of it. But when you're playing with your little people who are learning to listen for sounds, don't say the letter. Say the sound. So instead of saying I spy with my little eye something beginning with T, instead you need to say I spy with my little eye something beginning with T, or I spy with my little eye something beginning with S, or I spy with my little eye something beginning with B. Think of the sound, not of the letter. Okay, and a good way to start playing I Spy with little people is just to give them a very limited number of objects to look at, and then as they get more confident with it, branch out, and before you know it, you'll be playing I Spy with phonics all the way to nursery. I hope that's useful.